Welcome back and thank you for staying with us on Daybreak. And this is the newspaper segment. As usual, we'll start with the Daily Trust newspaper. The major story is on security, saying IGP kicks as Jonathan, others canvass for the state police. The writers are saying Abdulsalami Akpabio warned against politicians' influence. Other people, even though they're supporting it, are giving out also their concerns of what could go wrong when it comes to the state policing. Also, we have current policing system ineffective. That's according to Abbas, the Tajuddin Abbas, and we have I am committed to reforms. That's according to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You find this major story on page 4. Below there, you'll see a pictorial of the major stakeholders that were present for this dialogue. We have the Vice President Kashim Shettima representing the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We have former head of state General Abdulsalami Abubakar, former President Goodluck Jonathan, and others at the National Dialogue on State Policing organized by the House of Representatives in Abuja on Monday. We have dissected all of that, but then if you want details of all, you would find that on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Beside there, we see father, son, one other die in Kano trying to retrieve phone from latrine. You find that on page 10. Now, there are a lot of things that when you hear, you just know that, it just had to be that it was destined to happen. Because what could have happened, about phone? Phone is something that if you're alive, you can definitely retrieve. For anybody that has lost a phone before, you know that after a while you get a new one and you even forgot that ever happened to you. But then for people, about 3 people to put their life, in harm's way just because of a phone is really disheartening. You get that story on page 10. The federal government plans to peg varsity entry age at 18. Yeah, we've had that, conversation back and forth where, the JAM, WAEC, everybody was coming out to say a child of 16, 15, even 14 should not sit for WAEC until they're 18, so that at least they would go to university, a bit mature and would be able to defend themselves when it comes to, of course, abuses of situations happening in the university. So federal government is also looking into that. We'll just have to wait and see. But then you find that on page 7. After 16 years, Airspace Agency to raise navigation charges. You find that story on 19. Below there, you see terrorism. Renew social contracts with citizens, UN tells Nigeria and others. It's saying Tinubu blames ransom and illegal mining. It's what is really pushing and boosting insecurity in the country, which is true. We've had experts explain the fact that when someone is doing something and is getting free money, which is the ransom, and in this case where there's been a bit of calm when it comes to insecurity, kidnappings, and all of that. They're saying that these people are shifting to illegal mining at this point, and because of that, they're cashing out and making villagers who have not left their own villages. They are forcing them to do forced labor in order to get out these mineral resources and then sell them out. Amazing precious stones. So the thing is, we know the problem, but then what are the solutions? Well, this is the reason for this, meeting here happening. And besides it, we'll see a pictorial of also the people present. We see President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in a group photograph with other dignitaries during the unveiling of the African Counter-Terrorism Summit in Abuja yesterday. This is a great initiative that Nigerians are truly happy for. And definitely we cannot wait to see how, Nigeria and other countries, including Ghana, because I heard the speech of the president of Ghana, Nana, and he also pushed for this. So we can't wait to see how all of that unfolds. Below the headmaster, there we have Ondo APC primaries. 3 aspirants appeal against Aidatua's victory. We knew that was coming. We definitely knew that was coming. We knew that people would definitely come out, and there's been a suspicion that they could, lead to court issues. People to see how all of that pans out. I mean, at the end of the day, this primaries thing, it might not really reflect on what the people want, but then we'll just have to see how that also pans out. On those seem to be at a point of primaries fight. What to know about new First Bank's acting CEO Alebiosu? You find that on page 19. Court vacates order affirming Ganduje's suspension. Now, the fact that APC, we know that the other APC faction from Kano are the one making this decision, but we're yet to see the national, APC make their own point for us to know what exactly they're standing on. You find that on page 11. Now, these are some of the stories that you'd find on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Let's move on to the Guardian paper this morning. The major story is saying recapitalization. The issuers, banks compete for scarce funds under new NICOM. Okay, you see a pictorial, of course, of President Tinubu. We see Yamika Joso, the central bank governor. There's Wale June, Minister for Economy, and we have Sunday Thomas and Olusegun Omosehi. If you want the details of that, of course, you can find it on page 6. Government considers 18 as minimum age for admission seekers. I mean, this would definitely take parents a step back, considering at this point, when you look at how much parents are planning to send their kids early to school because of the future of the unknown. You do know the fear of the unknown when it comes to the future, and also because there is a plan for a quick retirement. I think this is something that the government should just not make decision, but there should be perhaps another dialogue, with parents for people to get to chip in their thoughts on all of this. Well, federal government plans regulatory intervention as fiber repairs cost telcos 27 billion naira. All right, you see that business details on page 15. Federal government to resell discos under banks. AMCON in 3 months. You find that story at page 3. Cooking gas price spikes further as Nigerians struggle with food inflation. I mean, this is another issue that, Nigerians have been facing, the fact that the price of cooking gas keeps increasing with all of this. And we see the consumer protection going to known supermarkets to say that the prices on the shelf is different, but then when you're making payments, the prices increase. And Nigerians have been pushing that. Why is it just supermarkets? And from there, they say, well, you did start somewhere. But then, honestly, I feel like Nigerians are demanding really more because they would prefer to go deep dive into exactly what is happening, going to marketplaces, manufacturers and all of that to control prices because it's just too much. We have controversy trails rivers, politics as lawmakers override Fubara's assent and pass a local government area bill. I mean, River State seems to be at the back and forth when it comes to every decision and keeps undermining the governor. The governor's stand. This is why it's confusing. 1 minute we're pushing for, some of power should be stripped of a governor, but then you see situation like this, and then there is, empathy saying, okay, you know what, these people should have their own power. Beside that, we see IGP counters tinubu, says Nigeria not mature, ready for state police. Terrorists kill 15, abduct married women in Katsina. I mean, when would we stop hearing, sad news like this? But then these are some of the stories that you'd find on The Guardian this morning. Let's take a look at The Nation. From the top of the page there, we see fugitive Binance chief and Jarwala to be deported from Kenya. Illegal foreign funds, mining, fueling terrorism, says President Tinubu. Nigeria should ignore downgrading of status by IMF, says UK envoy. Yes, Nigerians would definitely ignore, all of this. We definitely know that IMF, whatever decision it makes, it's based on what suits IMF, not what suits Nigerians. We see aspirants file appeal against Aidatua's nomination. You'll find that on page 5. Below the headlines, it says President Tinubu leaves for Netherlands and Saudi Arabia. Aidatuwa denies detention by EFCC. Okay, Akinteriwa, I don't know why Aidatuwa just came to my mind. Akinteriwa denies detention by EFCC. Major story, Abdul Salami, Jonathan and others, okay, states police, but then the IG differs. It's non-negotiable, says ex-president. Egbetokun seeks FRSC and NSCDC merger with police. Of course, there is a pictorial there of the dialogue. Below there, we see gains of IMF and World Bank meetings by Finance Ministry. Government to sell Abuja, Ibadan, Benin, Kaduna, Kano discos. And also banks, the AMCON lack capacity. Federal government also to push for or revokes about 200 the metering contract. At the belt there, we see Rivers Assembly overrides Fubara and passes local government amendment bill into law. Now, these are the stories that you will find on The Nation this morning. Let's move on and take a look at the Punch newspaper. The major story here is saying no Nigerian shopper. Okay, Chinese operator risks sanctions as federal government shuts Abuja supermarket. Now, this is what I was talking about. It says Consumer Agency plans Wednesday tribunal and says CCTV footage shows owner fled Monday morning. It's how these things are expected to be done hushly and quietly, but then these people find it easy to flee, from authorities in the country, and you start wondering, how did that information get out? But then there's also federal government identifies fleeing operator. Punch investigation reveals Lagos Indian school bars Nigerians. Now there's so many shady, situations happening in this, the supermarket. So you would find it on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Get the details of that. There's a pictorial of course, the ceiling of that supermarket there, where the FCCPC officials at the Chinese supermarket located at the China General Chamber of Commerce along Omar Musa Yaradua Road in Abuja on Monday. Below there, we see Aidatuwa, aggrieved Ondo aspirants petition APC and demand primary cancellation. You find that on page 7. 5 children die in abandoned car in Niger State. That story, you get that on page 4 and 5. It's toucher. Reading that story would be toucher. We have Delta diverts Lagos flight to Loom after passengers' death over thunderstorm. You find that on page 21. Now, this sad situation remind me of what is happening in Dubai. And you know, there's so much things, there's so many things happening in Dubai. Dubai is one of that country that you would see have developed and grow, but then rain came, and then we realized that the deserted country, all of a sudden, it's in need of drainages that were not really planned for. All right, at the top of the page there we see Tinubu blames illegal mining for terrorism funding. The federal government to unbundle 11 discos and others sale for of 4. IG warns of governors' excesses as federal government insists on state police. Beside the headmaster, there we see Naira rebound, rice falls to 67,000 Naira in Lagos, Abuja, and cheaper at borders. You find that on page 25. We can't wait to see when rice would just drop to, let's say, 15,000 Naira. That would be good. But let's move on to the next newspaper that we have, which will be New Telegraph. The top of the page says, the top of the page there is in BVN, the CBN's subtle threat boost enrollment of about 61.47 million people, going to do the registration. So it just means that Nigerians don't do things until they are threatened, which is really funny and disheartening. Below there we have, that's just above the headmaster, we have S&P Dangote refinery to start petrol supply in the fourth quarter of 2024. Below the headmaster we see NERC and SEDI's regulatory oversight of Enugu Ekiti electricity markets to EERC and EERB. Under APC, 3 aspirants protest either towards win, petition parties appeal committee. Judge reverses self, vacates order suspending Ganduje. Rivers Assembly overrides, Fubara passes the local government amendment bill. Besides that, we see UK deportation flight to Rwanda will take off come what may. That's according to the Prime Minister Sunak. I mean, they made mention that there was an agreement between the UK and Rwanda to make sure for any illegal immigrant to be deported, and then they would use Rwanda. When you find yourself in Rwanda, then you definitely have a way to find yourself home if at all you're not from Rwanda. It's a funny situation there, but they say it's going to happen. A major story says insecurity IGP kicks against states police once NSCDC, FRSC merged under NPF. Yeah, I mean, there's been a repetition of this major story in almost all the front pages. Fuel scarcity hits Lagos again. I mean, Abuja is also experiencing that. It's not just Lagos. And based on the interview that Trust TV conducted, it says, some of these marketers are saying that that the suppliers have heard a rumor that the government is fighting towards reducing the cost of the petrol, and that is why they are not producing, because they will be at a loss. So yes, that's the definite or the thoughts on this when it comes to the fuel scarcity. We have Edo Guba, INEC, GS Okpebolu, and Igodalo Akpata, 14 others. Obi Lagos Calabar Superhighway will worsen Nigeria's debt burden. We have the UTME, why federal government may peg varsity and others entry age at 18 years. That's the minister saying. The GOC 82 division, most IPOB members escape from Owerri facility. And taxing on healthy food helps cut obesity. That's according to the studies. Now, these are, of course, the stories that you would find on the New Telegraph. If you want more details of course, the front pages, you can grab any national dailies, and you'd definitely need to be equipped with the knowledge. But of course, with that, we have come to the end of today's episode of Daybreak. We hope that, of course, you are equipped with the necessary news and knowledge that you need to navigate through the economy. With that, I would say thank you so much for watching. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Please do stick around. At the top of the hour, Adeni Adishafe will bring you 360 Sport. Have a lovely day.